So guys, in the last few months, we got a lot of news regarding Assassin's Creed Codename Red, and the source is pretty credible, that is obviously Insider Gaming. So today, I'm gonna be covering the top details you should know about Assassin's Creed Codename Red, and there's gonna be a trailer, I suppose, in the May of this year, and I know it's still not guaranteed, but I have seen some rumors that suggest that we are gonna see a world premiere trailer in the month of May, and then we are gonna see the gameplay trailer when there's a Ubisoft showcase that is gonna be probably happening in June or July or something like that. Alright, so the first important thing is the graphics, and this news is fairly recent. I'm gonna be talking about this because before I had an article on this same topic, that is obviously graphics. Back like a long time ago, like months ago, they discussed that the graphics are not gonna be that much good compared to the previous Assassin's Creed games. A lot of people were not happy with this news, but now that we got some new information regarding this topic, we can definitely say that there's gonna be a great improvement in terms of graphics. Now, speaking as a guy who does 3D work, I am a 3D artist by profession, I'm gonna be giving my perspective on what the news is regarding the graphics. So now Insider Gaming has information that the game will benefit visually from the lines of ray traced global illumination and virtual geometry. Now here's why there's gonna be a massive improvement over the previous Assassin's Creed games. Now basically what ray traced global illumination is that it simulates how lighting works in real life. For example, in the traditional games or the Assassin's Creed games till now had the baked sort of lighting, which means that they have this light source specifically diffused in a certain area, and it's not going to change depending on the environment. But now what's going to happen is that ray traced global illumination is going to change that. So the lighting is going to work how it works in real life. That is, it's gonna bounce off of surfaces and you're gonna see a more real depiction of how lighting works in reality. So that is gonna be a really good thing. And next we have virtual geometry. Now virtual geometry, this is sort of similar to what you see in Unreal Engine 5, that is like the nanite one. So if you want to learn about that, you can obviously go and check that out, but it's gonna become a whole new video if I discuss about the virtual geometry. And speaking of graphics, we have also information about the Anvil engine, and Insider Gaming tells that there is not any sort of new engine necessarily, but Assassin's Creed will be using the new Anvil pipeline. And what that means is that it allows all of the various Assassin's Creed studios to work from one unified branch rather than having different versions and branches. So Assassin's Creed just does not have a single studio, it's a big companies. Now what's going to happen is that because of this Anvil pipeline that they are working on, Anvil is the Assassin's Creed engine. Anvil is the engine on which the Ubisoft games are made on. So all the games like Watch Dogs, Far Cry, Assassin's Creed are made on this same engine. That's how it is, and every single game company has its own engine, and Ubisoft has Anvil. So they are going to create a pipeline that makes it easier, and all of the studios kind of become unified, and it's going to make it easier for all these studios to work without any sort of problems. The move to the Anvil pipeline has meant that the teams have had to completely overhaul everything in the series too, including animations, its parkour system, dynamic, weather, and more. So here also you now get the idea that we are gonna see a lot of changes because they have to completely change how their pipeline works. So now the animations are gonna be different, the parkour system is gonna be different, dynamic weather, and there's gonna be a lot more things that we still don't know at this point, but we are gonna know in just a few months. But basically that's how it works, and I'm really happy that there's gonna be difference in all these things, because a lot of these things, like for example animations, parkour system, they're kind of bad in the recent games, to be honest. I'm not gonna sugarcoat anything, they are not as good as they were in, like, suppose Unity or Syndicate. Now the next thing is combat. Now combat is pretty similar to Valhalla in this game, as Insider Gaming is mentioning here. Insider Gaming has a lot of footage that has been provided by Ubisoft, and they have told them that do not release this footage. So Insider Gaming is basically basing this off of the footage and the stuff they have provided. So the combat is gonna be really similar to Valhalla, but it's gonna have a lot more gore, including blood and decapitations. Now all of these things were kind of present in Valhalla, but I don't know how it's gonna work in Assassin's Creed Red, to be honest. I cannot, say for sure, but as I see the whole Japanese theme and, the history of Japan, the combat at that time was really, really brutal, and the killing techniques in those eras used to be, insane. That's what I'm gonna say. And, if you guys have read Japanese history and stuff like that, you're gonna know how brutal their, imperial army and everything was. So it's understandable that a lot of these things are gonna be intensified. Now the next thing is stealth. Now the stealth is also gonna play a major role in Assassin's Creed Red, and you might be wondering why it is playing such a big role, because it's an RPG game, right? But in this game they are somehow combining the stealth aspect with the RPG aspect. For example, there's two characters in this game, and I'm gonna be talking about the characters next, but both of these characters kind of have different abilities. One has stealth, one has the brute type of abilities, the RPG abilities in simple terms, right? A lot of melee and brute weapons, stuff like that. Now the stealth, it's similar to what we saw in Splinter Cell. The player can extinguish torches, hide in tall grass and bushes, and even go prone whenever they please. So I don't know how it's gonna work, like how the prone is gonna work. Maybe if we hold the button, the crouch button, then we are gonna prone or something like that. But stealth is gonna have a lot of stuff in this game. Now the next thing that I'm going to talk about is going to be very, very exciting for the RPG players specifically, because this sort of stuff was already present in Assassin's Creed Valhalla, and that is the settlement feature. In Assassin's Creed Red, players will be able to build their settlement in a big way named the Hideout. The Hideout is where the player will be able to build at their own will, the likes of an armory, dojo, altar, and more. These buildings are customizable too, from being able to pick the building location to being able to choose your roof design to the interior layout, and where you can display the likes of your weapons and armor can be displayed. Now that is a huge upgrade over Assassin's Creed Valhalla. In Valhalla, you cannot move your settlement, right? The Raven's Top. You cannot just move that. Even though I did not have a lot of interest in that game, a lot of these things I still remember that you cannot do a lot of stuff in these settlements. And in this Assassin's Creed Red, they are talking about naming it Hideouts. So Hideouts is really, really reminiscent to the whole Assassin's Creed theme, right? In Assassin's Creed 1 it was Bureau, but Hideout Bureau, it kind of both feels the same to me, to be honest. So I really, really like that we are gonna be able to influence how the hideouts work. And on number 6 is a pretty controversial thing in my opinion, that is the live service Infinity Hub that is going to start with Assassin's Creed Red. Now, what is this Infinity Hub? So, essentially, Assassin's Creed Infinity will be the core hub of the franchisee, from which games including Assassin's Creed Red, Hexa, and Invictus will be launched. Demo footage provided to Insider Gaming shows the user going from the Infinity Hub to Assassin's Creed Red within just a few seconds, picking up where they left off, rather than having to boot the games up individually after falling back to the hub. Looks kinda good on the paper, but I don't know how it's gonna work. Maybe it's gonna be like Fortnite or something like that. We have like a main, place, and from there we can choose the mode or something like that. A lot of people are speculating stuff like that, but I don't think that is how it's gonna work, because in Fortnite a lot of these things are gonna be similar, but with the Assassin's Creed franchisee, there's gonna be a lot of difference in these games. So I don't know how it's gonna work. For example, if there is like a outfit that is present in the Infinity Hub, can that be wore in all the games that are gonna be present in the Infinity Hub? I just find it pretty confusing. Maybe they have just for a single game, a specific outfit is gonna be only in a specific game, or maybe it's gonna have different variety in different games. It's still pretty confusing, because we have never seen this kind of thing before. So I do not want to pass any judgment based on assumptions, but I will say that the whole Infinity Hub thing is a live service offering, right? So that can be controversial, because we have seen that Ubisoft a lot of times tries to invent new ways to sell you microtransactions, and maybe this is how they are trying to do that. Now maybe it is good and convenient for players to use it to quickly boot up in the game and stuff like that, but I feel like it's just more than that. It's just not that. There's a lot more that they are going to do with this live service hub. I feel like there's going to be a lot of microtransactions in this whole Infinity Hub. There's another thing written that Infinity also has a synchronization information feature that allows players to access projects for each protagonist. To explain them in their simplest form, projects are mini battle passes with a narrative behind them, offering players the ability to earn cosmetic rewards. Now, it kind of sounds like DLC, to be honest, just they are marketing in a way that is more lucrative. I am very skeptical about this sort of thing, to be honest, and even though I should not comment about things before it is launched, but it still sort of bugs me that there is going to be some sort of fishy thing that's going to happen with this Infinity Hub. Let's move on to the next thing, and that is characters and story. Now, characters we already know, that's going to be Naoi and Yasuke. So Naoi is a Japanese female character that we are gonna play, and she is gonna be more stealth focused. And on the other hand, Yasuke is gonna be an African American immigrant who is gonna be a more brute sort of guy. Like we saw in Assassin's Creed Syndicate, Evie was the stealth one and Jacob was the main brute one. So also it is said that it is gonna be based on a revenge story. Now the revenge story thing is like very common in most of the Assassin's Creed games, so this is nothing new, and it still does the job pretty good. So in Assassin's Creed Valhalla it was there, in Assassin's Creed Origins it was there, in Assassin's Creed 2 it was there. There's so many Assassin's Creed games in which the same thing was followed, so there's no surprise with this. And finally, I'm going to be talking about some other features that are going to be present in this game. For example, there's going to be grappling hooks like they were in Sekiro. Now there's going to be different stances with the ability to go prone and crawl through grass. Now I don't know about the stance thing because I feel like the stance thing was present in For Honor. I don't know how it's going to work in Assassin's Creed games, to be honest. That's just what I'm going to say. There's going to be better stealth, as I've said before, because you can actually hide in the dark spots to hide in the shadows. NPCs can defend themselves a lot better than ever before, so there's going to be AI upgrades. There will be a feature that allows the player to recruit certain enemies to function as spies, and that is pretty interesting. It kind of feels like we are just bribing them, right? Now the next thing is also that Naoi, that is the female protagonist, will wield kunai, shuriken, smoke bombs and bells, likely suggesting that she is more agile, stealthier character, as I said before. And Yasuke is gonna be the strong character, and I don't know what sort of weapons Yasuke is gonna have, but he's gonna be strong character, so consider some sort of strong Japanese brute weapons and stuff like that. I don't have that much knowledge of that, to be honest, but you guys can check that out yourself. There's also gonna be destructible environments in this game which will allow players to break anything that you could expect to break in real life. A lot of these things that I talked about in this video, I don't know how a lot of these things are gonna work, to be honest, because we are gonna see this thing for the first time, right? We have literally no clue how this is gonna work, so I'm just keen on sitting and waiting for the gameplay trailer so that I can understand how it's gonna work. Obviously the cinematic trailer is gonna drop pretty soon, like in May or something, but it's not gonna show everything, to be honest. It's gonna show like the basic stuff, like how it happened with Assassin's Creed Mirage, so don't expect a lot from the cinematic trailer, to be honest. It's just gonna show you a little glimpse of main characters and the enemies, likely Templars, the main things we are obviously gonna see in the gameplay trailer, so you guys should wait for that. But anyways, those are the main things that we have information about. Now what are my thoughts on this whole Assassin's Creed news and stuff like that, all the things we have got so far? So a lot of information we got about this game suggests that there's gonna be a lot of changes in this game. I say this every single time when an Assassin's Creed game is about to release, that don't be really hyped, otherwise your expectations might not be fulfilled. For example, with Assassin's Creed Mirage, a lot of people controlled their emotions, so when the game released, a lot of people did not hated that game. Actually, Assassin's Creed Mirage performed really good. It has an estimated revenue of around $250 million. That's a lot of money, and that wasn't even a full budget game. So that shows that if you manage your expectations, you're gonna be fulfilled. But if you have like insane expectations from games, then there's a big chance that you're gonna be disappointed. So I only have expectations for games like GTA, that sort of games, because I know from seeing that track record that those games are just consistent, right? And CD Projekt Red games as well, I know those companies, Rockstar, CD Projekt Red, Naughty Dog as well, they're gonna be producing games that are really of high quality, and I know it because of their track record. But with Ubisoft, Assassin's Creed games have been really inconsistent in terms of the story. Specifically, story to me is like the most important part in how the gameplay loop is. That's also really important. And seeing the recent AC games, they are just very keen to lengthen the amount of time you spend in the game so that you're gonna be willing to buy their microtransactions. That's how it works. They are kind of copying it from Fortnite, to be honest, but they don't understand that Fortnite is like a literally different game than what Assassin's Creed is. Fortnite is like a battle royale game, and you just cannot do the same with Assassin's Creed, to be honest. The story mode and stuff like that. Obviously you are bringing a multiplayer game in which you can do that, but with story games, man, it just does not fit properly, and it just ruins any sort of immersion, to be honest. And that's how it happened with the RPG Assassin's Creed games, to be honest. I really liked Assassin's Creed Origins, but even in that game, there was a lot of stuff that was outrageous, to be honest. For example, like the horse mounts and stuff like that, like fire ones and stuff like that. It just feels weird in my opinion. And I'm genuinely interested in how Assassin's Creed Red is gonna be, but my hopes are not that high, to be honest, because I don't want to be disappointed if there's something bad. But seeing all this stuff, there is some sort of difference, right? So obviously there is an excitement, but that is controlled in my opinion, and I think you should do that as well. And that's it for this video, guys. This was my own take on this whole Assassin's Creed Red thing. And what do you think is gonna happen with Assassin's Creed Codename Red? Do you think it's gonna be a good game? Do you think it's gonna be a bad game? Or do you think it's gonna be a game that is like Assassin's Creed Mirage, where it's like not really good but it's not really bad? It's playable, and it does good, but it's nothing outstanding. What do you think, guys? What's gonna happen with it? And feel free to like this video if you enjoyed it, and consider subscribing if you want this sort of content. I'll see you guys in the next one.